Assalamu alaikum. This is Prapunti Chakraborty welcoming you to the English news from BTV Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus calls on newly appointed Bhutanese Ambassador Dashukar Mahamudorji. Sheikh Hasina ordered using of lethal weapons to suppress a July movement last year, confirms BBC. Accountants must work with sincerity and accountability to boost investment, urges finance advisor. Everyone who involved in genocide along with Sheikh Hasina must go under trial, comments Mirza Fakhrul. Incessant rains cause people's suffering in port city of Chattogram, emphasizing on cautionary measures of mountain collapse. Iran rejects Trump's claim to relaunch of nuclear talks. And Chelsea defeat Fluminense by 2-0 in semi-final of FIFA World Cup at MetLife Stadium. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus has recommended Bhutan take the advantage of all available infrastructural facilities that Bangladesh offers, mentioning that significant opportunities remain for expanding bilateral collaboration. The Chief Advisor conveyed this to the newly appointed ambassador of Bhutan to Bangladesh, Dashukar Mahamudorji, when she called on him at the State Guest House Jamuna in Dhaka today. Ambassador Dorji conveyed the best wishes of the Prime Minister of Bhutan to the Chief Advisor, highlighting the long-standing historical ties and the existing excellent relations. Ambassador Dorji conveyed appreciation for the continued cooperation extended by the government of Bangladesh to Bhutan, particularly in medical education and cooperation for establishing a Bhutanese special economic zone in Bangladesh. She emphasized Bhutan's willingness to deepen its engagement with Bangladesh, emphasizing the significance of strong people-to-people ties. The Chief Advisor stressed that the youth of both countries should visit each other to experience their cultures and strengthen mutual bonds. The Chief Advisor mentioned that Bangladesh wishes to uphold and continue the spirit of SAARC. The Chief Advisor welcomed the ambassador to Bangladesh, assured her to full support, and expressed optimism that the ties between the two nations would be further strengthened during her tenure. According to British news outlet BBC's investigative unit, BBCI, deadly crackdown on last year's student-led protest in Bangladesh was directly authorized by former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. BBCI analyzed an audio recording in which Hasina is heard saying, "Wherever the protesters, are found, they will be shot." This information was reported by the BBC on Wednesday, July 9th. The news outlet says the audio recording is now being used as key evidence in an international criminal tribunal case against Sheikh Hasina. She is currently in India and is being tried in absentia. According to an UN investigators, around 1,400 people were killed during the violent protest between July and August last year. However, Hasina and her party have denied all allegations. A spokesperson for the Awami League stated that the audio does not prove any unlawful intent and described it as a contextual reaction. In a phone conversation recorded in July 18, 2023, Sheikh Hasina is heard speaking with a senior government official. In the conversation, she says, if necessary, lethal force must be used. According to the BBC verified recording, Sheikh Hasina authorized her security forces to use lethal weapons against protesters and said that wherever the forces, find them, the demonstrators, they will be shot. A British forensic audio team called Earshot and Bangladesh's Criminal Investigation Department (CID) examined the recording and confirmed it to be unaltered and credible. It is believed that the audio was recorded by Bangladesh's National Telecommunication Monitoring Center (NTMC). A source familiar with the leaked audio told the BBC that Hasina made the phone call on July 18th from her official residence, Gaza. However, it remains unclear who leaked the recording. The student protest began in July of last year against the quota system in government jobs that favored families of freedom fighters. It quickly escalated into a mass movement, ultimately forcing Sheikh Hasina to lose power after 15 years in office. The peak of the violence occurred on August 5th. On that day, Hasina reportedly fled Dhaka's Gaza by helicopter. In just the Jatrabari area alone, at least 52 people were killed by police gunfire that day, considered one of the deadliest instances of police violence in Bangladesh's history. The BBC analyzed hundreds of videos, photos, and documents from the 36-day protest. With the help of CCTV footage, drone videos, and eyewitness accounts, the investigation revealed that police forces opened fire indiscriminately, especially after the army withdrew from protest zones. Although UN reports and various media outlets have previously covered aspects of the events, the BBC investigation uncovered new details and accounts about how the killings started and ended, and the true extent of the casualties, much of which has not come to light before. To boost both local and foreign investment, finance advisor Dr. Saliuddin Ahmed has urged accountants to work with sincerity by ensuring transparency and accountability. He made the call this morning at a summit held at a hotel in the capital under the theme "The Role of the Financial Reporting Council and Its Impact on Bangladesh's Economic Governance." Dr. Saliuddin also criticized the quality of financial reports, stating that many accountant reports often lack standardization and reliability. He emphasized that ensuring transparency in the financial sector requires not only technological advancement, but also personal integrity. The event was chaired by Finance Secretary Dr. Mohammad Khairuzaman Mojumdar and attended by Anti-Corruption and Corruption Commission Chairman Abu Momin, Bangladesh Bank Governor Dr. Hassan H. Mansour, and World Bank Representative Soleiman Kolabli, among others. The foundational period of New Bangladesh is the days of June, July, and August of the last year. This defining moment, which changed the course of Bangladesh's political landscape, has made a place in people's hearts as 36th of July. These glorious days, marked by immense sacrifice and unparalleled courage, hold immense significance for the people of this land. Under the banner of the anti-discrimination student movement, although there was no centrally announced Bangla Blockade program on 9th of July 2024, students still carried out blockade programs on several roads in the capital. As usual, classes and exams remained suspended that day as part of the ongoing movement. As part of the protest, students and job seekers blocked the Shahbag intersection for 4 hours. On that day, for the first time, students of Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology joined the streets in solidarity with the quota reform movement. They held a silent rally at the university's Shohid Minar. Students from Dhaka College and Titumir College also held protests demanding quota reform. Demonstrations took place in Sylhet as well. The officially declared program by the anti-discrimination student movement for that day was a mass campaign alongside field campaigning. Activists were also vocal on social media. Coordinator Sarjis Alam posted on Facebook saying, "The work of state repair is ongoing. Apologies for the temporary inconvenience." Coordinator martyred Abu Soed announced the massive presence of Begum Rokeya University students. On that day, Islami Chhatra Shibir also issued a statement in support of the Quota reform movement. The anti-discrimination student movement called for a dawn-to-dusk Bangla blockade across the country the next day. Coordinator Nahid Islam gave interviews to various news outlets explaining the logic behind the movement. He said the government and the Prime Minister have broken their promises regarding the quota issue. They're using the court as a shield to avoid responsibility. Prominent movement figure M.A. Syed also spoke about the Bangla blockade in a media interview. Many people created and shared reels on social media featuring protest songs related to the movement. BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has said that everyone who supported fascism should be brought to justice. He made this remark today while speaking to journalists in the capital. Mirza Fakhrul said that not only Sheikh Hasina as the party chief, but also all those involved in genocide must be punished. In Feni, torrential rain and swelling rivers fueled by upstream flow from India have breached flood control embankments at 14 critical points along with the Muhuri, Kohua, and Solonia rivers. As a result, more than 30 villages across Fulgazi and Porshuram upazilas are now underwater. According to the Water Development Board, water levels in the Muhuri River have surged dangerously beyond the safe limit. On Tuesday night at 10 p.m., the river was flowing at 13.92 meters, 1.37 meters above the danger level. The Meteorological Department confirms that Feni recorded the highest rainfall in the country in the past 24 hours, with 441 millimeters of rain, the most intense downpour so far this monsoon season. As floodwaters rise, so do concerns over public safety. Power supply has been cut off in many areas of Fulgazi, Porshuram, and Feni town as electric meters and substations have gone underwater. Authorities warned that outages could extend further if conditions worsen, with no clear timeline for a restoration. In response to the crisis, Feni's district administration has turned over 130 educational institutions into emergency shelters. So far, more than 150 people have taken refuge. The government has allocated 6.5 lakh taka for emergency food supplies, including dry food and cooked meals. A dedicated control room has been set up to monitor the situation around the clock as local authorities brace for further developments. The situation remains critical in Feni. Authorities are searching and urging residents in vulnerable areas to remain alert and seek shelter as needed. Chattogram, like the rest of the country, has been experiencing continuous rainfall for the past week, prompting the Meteorological Department to issue a warning of potential landslides across the city. In response to the warning, authorities are urging residents living in areas vulnerable to landslides, particularly those on hills and foothills, to seek shelter in safe conditions and locations. While the intensity of the rain is predicted to decrease from today evening, the initial warning remains in effect. Residents living at the foothills of Lake Number 1 in the Firoz Shah area have already begun moving to safe shelters, adhering to government instructions. Furthermore, all those living within a distance of 30 feet on the hill has been evacuated to these shelters. Local authorities are actively engaged in warning remaining residents to evacuate. Now, international news. The Iranian government has firmly denied requesting any negotiations with Washington over its nuclear program, countering recent remarks by former U.S. President Donald Trump. The U.S. president's claim was made during a dinner at the White House with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday. Speaking to Iran's state news agency Tasnim, former Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghei said Iran has made to request and no request for a meeting with the U.S. Just a day earlier, Trump had told reporters that Iran defeated in last month's 12-day conflict with Israel, was now eager to resume negotiations on a new nuclear deal. His Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, who was also present at the dinner, added that such talks could happen as early as next week. However, in an published in the Financial Times, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi clarified that while Tehran remains open to diplomacy, there are valid reasons for skepticism when it comes to resuming dialogue. Meanwhile, Iran appears to be strengthening its defense capabilities. Following the 12-day confrontation with Israel, Tehran has acquired Chinese-made surface-to-air missile systems to bolster its air defense. As geopolitical tensions escalate, the nuclear standoff between Iran and the US appears far from resolution, with China playing an increasingly strategic role in Tehran's defense and economy. Another deadly day in Gaza. In one of the deadliest single-day escalations in recent weeks, 95 Palestinians lost their lives in Gaza over the last 24 hours. With this, the cumulative death toll has surged to 57,600, according to local health authorities. At the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a second meeting within 24 hours to discuss a possible ceasefire in Gaza. The meeting took place on Tuesday evening behind closed doors, with no media allowed access. Meanwhile, the United Nations has raised grave concerns over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. According to the UN, 1 in every 3 Gazans has gone without food for several days, and a growing number of people are at severe risk of starvation. The UN has accused Israel of obstructing humanitarian aid efforts and called on Israeli authorities to immediately open all border crossings. UN spokesperson Stephanie Dujarric urged Israel to allow full and unrestricted access to humanitarian assistance to prevent further catastrophe. As the crisis deepens, international pressure continues to mount on Israel to allow aid into Gaza and halt the devastating toll on civilians.